A meeting to order. Got to take care of some housekeeping here before we get into the May meeting. I need to call to order the April recessed meeting, and as far as I know, we do not have any business left over from that, so I need somebody to make a motion to adjourn that meeting.
Motion to adjourn, Avis.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We'll then call the May 27, 2025 meeting to order. Welcome everybody here, and thank you for attending. We do have a quorum. Councilman Roberts is in Florida, I'm told, which seems like a mighty flimsy reason to miss the city council meeting, you know, a trip to the beach. That just doesn't seem, but I'm glad he's getting that opportunity. I think he's with some family members. I'm glad he's getting that opportunity, all kidding aside. If you would, if you'll bow with me, we'll have a word of prayer and then we'll get into our meeting. Our Father in heaven, we're thankful for yet another day of life and the opportunity to gather here today. We're thankful to see all our friends and neighbors here tonight. We pray a blessing on them and their families and on these people that sit up front to make decisions. We pray that you'll bless them and their families. Lord, we are mindful that we just had a holiday of remembrance. We want to continue to hold those families, lift those families up to you while they may be proud of the service of their loved ones and what they did. I'm sure that they still miss them. We thank you to living in a free country, and for those that have made it that way have gone on before us. We ask now that you bless this meeting and go with us and forgive us of our sins. Amen. All right, got a set of minutes from the meeting we just adjourned. Y'all ready to act on those? Yes, ma'am. That may be the easiest motion we have all night. Yes, sir. All right, got a motion and a second. Discussion. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Minutes are approved. This is the part of the meeting where we have set aside for public comment on anybody that would like to address us on anything. Now is the time to do it before we get into our agenda items.
I have a public comment from Ms. Goebel, the secretary.
Yeah.
She couldn't be here, so she asked me if I would read this during
Yeah,
the
I know
public
where
comment.
she is too.
Yeah. So this is from Sarah Goebel. She is the chamber secretary. She said the Dead Tree Desperados were extremely happy with the setup during the train robbery. That went really well. They look forward to coming back in September. They want to thank the council and the Watertown police, as does she. Update from the chamber. The Watertown Chamber has had an executive meeting since their last regular chamber meeting. The new chamber website is being worked on, and we'll have a link from the main www.watertown.tn site. Our summer events are being addressed in the Watertown Express. Social media and posters are about to be made. Our summer events are Stars and Stripes and Squirt Gun Parade, starting at 4 p.m. Contact for this is Dina Dowd, followed by the city fireworks. The chamber voted on giving the city council $2,000 towards the fireworks. The July 19th is the Watertown Music Festival, and August the 30th is the Bluegrass Festival. Both events co-chaired is Brian Wilson. The local collective will begin having live music on their patio Friday, June the 6th from 5:30 to 7:30 through the end of July on Friday nights. Jason Harmon is planning on speaking about our summer events and the radio on behalf of the chamber on May the 27th at the Coleman Walker Show. There will be no square closures of any kind for these events. The parking in front of the gazebo will be marked off for seating the morning of the music festival, and I will remind all the square shop owners of this in advance. Thank you, Sarah Goebel, Chamber Secretary.
That's a good report.
She's a great lady.
I'll address the fireworks a little later in the meeting. Oh, okay, well, that'll go to Ms. April, the city recorder. Okay, anybody else? Yes, sir, come on up. Chris?
Chris Ferrari from Hamilton Hardware. Just wanted to follow up from parking discussion we had over the last couple of months. Kind of finally talked with chamber folks and businesses. So I'd kind of put a little proposal together. We had talked about the idea of having some timed parking spots, something like that. So I had passed it along to Mike last time just so you'd have it, but I just wanted to make it public before y'all. So the idea was, and now that Randolph's is open, it's even better downtown. So it's packed downtown right now, which is great. There's a lot of cars and limited parking. So it's been, Saturday was great for them. They had a lot of people in, but it really showed for us, because of the type of business we are, along with some of the others, just being able to have that timed parking spot allotted so that we don't have cars kind of taking up some of the spots all the time. So the idea, the proposal was that we have 5 to 6 spots around the square that are just at a 30-minute time limit, something like that. You know, we can kind of could place those according to what some of the business needs are that use that kind of time frame. The bank, the hardware store, the drug store, some of those kind of places, smoke shop, they all have folks coming in and out kind of thing. Even the coffee shop kind of a thing. And then, you know, we just had some ideas of where they could go. They could really be kind of up to the council. We'd place a sign that could just say 30-minute limited parking or something like that. We'd ask that it would be Monday through Saturday from, 8 to 6 or something like that. So that later in the evening, the spots would obviously be available for the long-term parking folks. And since currently there's not a lot of downtown business on Sunday, there's no need to really have that there. I don't know that in talking to the chamber and some of the businesses that I guess the enforcement side of that would be up to the city and the police kind of a thing. We really wanted it so that if we saw someone park there, we would have kind of the backing of the city to go out and say, hey, would you mind? Rather than having to have the police out there patrolling it and moving people, that kind of thing. It just gives us the backing to say something. So outside of that, it was just kind of really, those couple things. We need a couple signs posted and just have to have a decision on where it would be. And then from there, the discussion I had with the chamber and kind of the council was, maybe we make a joint communique to some of the businesses saying, hey, as we get busier, as some of the things happen, the business owners or employees could try to park on the outskirts or over in the bank lot or something like that and leave as much of the business parking spots available to customers as possible. Again, it's a work in progress. It's just kind of a first step idea, but kind of wanted to put that before you, those specific things for you to kind of think about, and because it's already starting to become, kind of an issue, not an issue in a bad way, issue in a good way, but something that would be helpful.
How do you want us to proceed on that?
Well, I guess the question would be just deciding, is that okay to do? Can we assign some of those? And then coming up with a idea of which spots those should be around the square and down Main Street. Happy to make a suggestion on those if you would like it to come from us. I guess the council just needs to decide, can we assign certain spots to that? And what does the actual language need to be? The time frame, the hours of the days, how many days a week, that just needs to be clarified from the city side.
Because of how late in the month this meeting is, we're going to be back here in 3 weeks from tonight. Can you bring us something specific about
Sure.
which spots and everything, and let's just do it, consider it as a package?
Yep, I'd be happy to do that.
Mailing it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I work during the day, so I don't see this. How many spots would you say are people parking in that it's long, like they're staying there?
Well, it's a little bit subjective, and it kind of depends where you are. In our case, from the hardware store standpoint, there is because of the road on either side and the garage across the street, and there's a single spot that is close to us. Now, again, it's public parking, it's not our spot, but we're not at a storefront that has 3 or 4 spots that are kind of right there. So with the Mexican restaurant right there, with the event center right there beside us, and now with the restaurant on the other side of us, all three of those are kind of long-term parking, if you will, an hour or so or more. Now that's might be different than right around the bank and the flower shop and some of and the drugstore right there. Those people are coming and going, so there might be more activity there. So it's a little, kind of depends on where you are, I would say, in the square. And again, it doesn't always happen, but sometimes it kind of came about because we had 3 Saturdays in a row where someone parked right there, for several hours. And not that they can't, and it's not our spot. I'm not asking for that to be assigned to a specific business. It's just because of how it's laid out there, that's a particular issue area. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Okay.
Because I feel like most of the things on the square are within 30 minutes if our business owners would not park on the square. Most of our businesses on the square are within 30 minutes, you're in and out. Even
Right.
We're usually in and out in 30 minutes.
Right. I don't want to say it's just a problem on our end, not necessarily.
I understand the
But
restaurants.
with the restaurants, yeah.
but-
So,
The restaurants in that area do tend to, their patrons tend to stay in the parking spots longer because it takes more than 30 minutes to eat a meal.
sure. Yeah. Anyway, any other questions, or I can clarify, or I'll come back next meeting with
Yeah,
some.
if you
Yeah.
get it to me a few days in advance,
Sure.
I'll get it out to you.
Okay, happy to do that, yeah.
And we'll get it on the agenda.
Okay, great, awesome, thanks for considering that, appreciate it.
Thank you, Chris. John, I forgot to ask, we're on live, I guess? Are we going out? We on, out in TV land or wherever we are? Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm sorry I didn't ask earlier. Anybody else? All right, I'll go ahead and close the public comment then, and we'll move on down through our reports. Chief Hahn of the Fire Department, I believe you're up first tonight.
Good evening. I would like to report, and I'll pass this along to the mayor, or Joseph Decker did, but we were awarded a grant in the ballpark of $40,000 for rescue equipment. It's the state of Tennessee Rescue Squad grant, and what that's used for is equipment for our rescue apparatus. It's very equipment specific, so it doesn't cover anything that we need it to, but and that would kind of be just an example, struts for vehicle stabilization on a wreck, or different extrication equipment, helmets, PPE, those types of things that deal with that. So that's a major blessing and a good thing for us. As far as the report, we had 49 calls this past month, and that's an increase there of 14 calls from that same month a year ago. So that's about all that we've got. It's been a quiet month. And
When does the grant, when will you get that?
I'm not sure. I'll ask Joe about it. He's tracking all of that, and so.
Let me know if we need to include that in next year's budget or this year.
Yes, sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
either way we can do it. It's free money, isn't it? No-
Yes, sir.
no match?
It's a no match. No match.
Whenever they want to send it, we'll be glad. to
Yes,
take
sir. But I'll get with him and I'll get that answer for you.
it. Questions of the chief? Full roster,
Yes, sir.
training,
Yes, sir.
a lot of things to be proud of in this town when I'm serving our fire department. Very proud of them. All right, no other questions.
Thank you all.
Chief. Dale, I think you up next with a sewer report.
I don't have anything for you guys this month. It's been kind of quiet on my end as far as that goes, which is probably a good thing. Do you guys have anything for me?
Questions for Dale? It's like you skated through tonight.
All right.
Thanks, Dave. Chief? You're last tonight, but you'll be first next meeting.
Yes, I know. You have any questions for me? Report self-explanatory. No calls or service, a lot of things going on, a lot of things are happening, especially with our LPRs and stuff. We've gotten several stolen cars lately, some silver alerts. So, they work. Sheriff's Department using me. As a matter of fact, they called me today a couple times, so building that relationship back. Not that it was ever tarnished, but just now that we have some tools that help them as well.
Okay.
I do have one question.
Yes.
During the summer seasons, does your department get a heavy number of calls from the drive-in?
Not really, not much anymore. We used to get a whole lot, and the last time we got some, they figured out that there's cameras at DTC building. So it does, even our cameras getting in, it deters a lot of mischief. And then, I put my trailer out there, and that eliminated every call because, then there's no donuts, no speeding, no acting crazy. So due to some of the things that we put in place, the calls have been basically cut in half or none. We had a lost wallet found the other day. That's the first time that Barry's called in 11 months.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Other questions? I've got one totally unrelated. I hope you don't mind me asking. What about the boys? How they doing?
Amazing. Cole has come back from beast to the east. He pitched basically a no-hitter. Hit one off the fence, 380. Got a triple, so they're doing well. Fixing to go to USA. We go to USA Carry next week. I'm not going. I have to be in a Chiefs school, but he goes to USA. He's been invited to that, and the other one's throwing pretty good.
Good.
So thank you for asking.
Good. Sure. Glad to hear it. A lot of things in life important. Baseball's one of them.
To me,
They are. I said a lot of things. I said a lot of things. Don't get me in a mess, Laura. I do well enough on my own
you
here.
don't love my kids?
All right, I better get the chief out of here before I get in trouble.
He's always saying that,
Yeah.
kids and family first.
That's right. That's right. Appreciate it, buddy.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to some items of old business. There's people here tonight about several items we got, and when I do my agenda, I just sort of list them. While I do list them in an order, there's no particular reason for it. So I'm going to go ahead and deal with the folks that are here on planning and zoning and annexation and that type of thing. So where's Christopher Lawless? You ready to go on the Parkinson property? Okay.
All right, the first item is the Jodan Parkinson property. There's an exhibit in front of you of what it is, but it's part of property map 110, parcel 58, and the part that is being requested for annexation is 0.71 acres. In December of 22, there was 1.25 acres of this already previously annexed into the county. I am going to address that in the plan of services, but specifically in front of you today is the 0.71 acres. It will come into the city of Watertown with an R1 zoning designation. They did not request any sort of rezoning, so anything annexed in comes in at a R1 designation. Other than that, I can I can answer any questions you have on this. It does come to you with a positive recommendation from your Watertown Planning Commission.
And do I remember correctly, Steve and Christopher, that we have to take that portion of the road as well that's in front of it?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I will work on the annexation notice to get to the road commission on your all's behalf for that.
Okay. All right, so it's here on first reading, and second reading will be scheduled for our meeting on June the 17th. So have no problem. The Planning Commission recommended this. It was a unanimous vote, and have no problem recommending this to you on first reading. Yes, I need a motion.
I make a motion to accept.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, now is there discussion about what we're doing? We have a representative of the Parkinson family here with us tonight. We're glad to have him here. And always good to see you. You ready to vote? All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That part carries. Now we got to approve the plan of services.
Yes, sir. The plan of services, the previous plan of service was also adopted by the city council in December of 2022. I don't have that ordinance number. I'll get that and I'll make sure it's updated, up to date for you. But the terminology that was put in that last one is that it was to be completed within a 2-year time frame. That is still sticking to this. So this new plan of services is for the entire 1.96 acres as opposed to just the 0.71 acres that you just annexed. I would probably still recommend that the 2 years be put on there, and the 2-year expiration that just relinquishes the city of Watertown if those services weren't rendered, that you weren't on the hook for the sewer provision if it wasn't completed on the developer's behalf. Because there was there was acknowledgement that they were to complete those. I know that wasn't the issue had changed, but the new plans of services, since the most recent one has expired, is for the entire 1.96 acres that had been annexed.
Okay, questions of Christopher? I didn't think to ask you. Did you want to say anything?
No, I just thought you might appreciate me being here.
Oh, I do, always. And I think you always,
He said all the points that,
yeah.
that you guys need to hear.
And I
I'll
think-
be glad to answer any questions.
And the public hearing will, you will have to have a public hearing for the annexation and the plan of services.
You smart enough to realize when you got the horse sold, that you. Anybody ready to make a motion on the plan of services?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that's approved. Now you want to go on to the building permit fees and that type of thing? We got some, Christopher's got some representatives of his office here tonight.
Yeah.
Chris Richardson, Michael Cooper.
Do you have an order that you want to do them in? Because one is just the adoption of codes entirely, the other one is just your permit fees.
It doesn't make any difference to me unless y'all have
I suggest you start with the codes.
sounds like.
Okay. Chris Richardson is here, so if you all ask any question that has anything to do with codes, he's going to have to answer that. I just wrote the ordinance with his help. And this is modeled directly after the resolution that the county passed to adopt codes. It brings you all into spec for the 2021 IBC and the 2021 IRC. So that would be commercial and residential on that side. I know we had talked a little bit about only doing residential, but I think you all leaned on adopting everything all at once. The building inspector, Chris's department, will oversee inspection of that. As far as the way it's done now, right now, the fees are paid for proof of permit to the city of Watertown, and then everything is brought to my office receipt-wise, the AFT receipt and your building permit fee receipt. That building permit fee will now be brought to their office as proof of payment, and then the AFT is paid in their office, so they'll have acknowledgement of that. So that'll take out a leg there. And then the county issues your typical stormwater permit. That won't change. And that's just under the state regulation. I know there's a lot of verbiage in this ordinance, and I couldn't tell you what half of it means. It's not my department. But Chris is happy to answer any questions that you have regarding the IRC or the IBC. There are 2 paragraphs highlighted in red in the back. I just need a little bit of guidance. Right now, the county has a fire marshal that is county oriented. He oversees all the fire inspection. Does he review all the fire plans for the IBC, or is that?
We do a plans review for the building, mechanical, plumbing, or he does a fire, he gets a plan, does his own plans review for fire safety.
Okay.
So,
So that's Daniel Cowan. So he does all fire safety for the plans review on the IBC, and that's the commercial side. Residential, there's not going to be a review unless it's a townhome style development, which falls into that commercial regulation. There's a couple options here. You can either work out on contracting something with Captain Cowan or having a discussion with him and having him reviewing the city of Watertown's. You could fall back to just having the state fire marshal review all your commercial plans. Or if you're confident and if you have somebody in your volunteer fire department that's certified, they can review those plans. So, I mean, there's 3 options, but the paragraph was left as what we have adopted in the county. I'm not sure how you all want to proceed the fire code portion of the IBC.
Let me ask Chief Hahn, do we have somebody that can fill that role?
I would have to get back with you to give you an honest answer that's accurate. I believe we could, but I'll verify and check to see what all would be needed.
Well, I kind of put you on the spot, Chief, but Christopher and I talked today, and I suggested that we talk to you between first reading and second reading.
Right.
So that's consistent with what you just said. So, my thought would be approve this as written, and then if it needs to change, we can amend it on second reading, and that will be the one we do. So I certainly recommend this to you. This is a major change, a very major improvement for Watertown.
There is the very, very last paragraph, I think it's in here, or it's not a paragraph, it's a sentence. And this is just based off the conversations that we've had through all those emails. It's the very last sentence. It's be it further resolved, this resolution, I know you would approve it in your June 17th meeting for second reading if it gets approved there. But it says it's not to be effective till July 1st, 2025, just to come into the new cycle. So if it needs to be pushed out, or if you want to make it effective that night, we can. But that's just based off the emails that we've had circulating all this. That was the date that we kind of softly agreed on, but there will have to be something put into place on an official date if you don't want that one.
Questions of these guys?
I have one for Chris Richardson. I want to make sure I read this correctly. The townhome developments, because of the section that was dropped and the other section that was added in here, would be required to have sprinkler systems, correct?
So the IRC says yes. The IRC says that the 2021 says everybody has to have sprinklers. That's a big debate. They get rid of that for single families, and the state amended the townhomes that you don't have to have them if you have a 2-hour firewall between each unit. So it's either sprinklers or a 2-hour firewall between each unit. But that language is there to make sure it supersedes what the original IRC says.
Right, and that was the part that was confusing to me when I read it. So it's either a 2-hour burn wall between units that have not been punctured in any way with air ducts or anything like that,
Correct.
Or a sprinkler system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good question.
Can we have it, I mean, I guess my question for the council, do we think we need to require sprinkler system? Because we've got a lot of townhomes that have been proposed and approved that haven't come out of the ground yet. I don't know if we want, and this may be Chief Hahn to get his input on this, is whether or not we think it would be best to require that, or can we?
My understanding is that you can, as a local municipality, you can be more stringent. So I think you could do that.
You can be tighter, you can't be looser.
Exactly.
I would give a very high recommendation for adding sprinklers.
When we talked about the big development that we approved out at off of Grand Avenue back in the back there was questions about water pressure and not enough pressure there to sprinkle some of the homes. But there was, at that time, the developer agreed that he would put in, or recommended, as I recall, I hope I'm recollecting this correctly, that he would put in some type of booster, a pump or whatever to build it up to a minimum level. But I don't recall us talking about a 2-hour firewall. So that's probably still to be discussed.
As I recall from the planning commission that was on that, the developer had agreed to put in a inline pump to increase the water pressure in that area, but that water study was done strictly from the perspective of providing water service.
Correct.
I don't think there was any discussion in that about sprinklers, fire sprinkler systems in the development. That was only water service
Okay.
to the development. And I think he was gonna put I don't remember exactly where, there's gonna be an inline relay pump put somewhere going up
There
Newtown
was.
Road,
Yeah.
push the water on over the hill and increase the pressure to a certain PSI on the backside of there.
Did you do that? That wasn't
Not the
true.
one on Newtown.
Okay. Well, again, then maybe we adopt this tonight on first reading so we can have something in place July 1st and let that discussion occur between now and the 17th with input from Chief Hahn on that as well. Would it be best to have the sprinklers? It would. I just don't know whether we have the water pressure to support it or not.
Yeah, sometimes there's fire flow, that's what they call fire flow. In certain areas, the fire chief has the authority to make reductions in rural areas or places where it's not feasible. I also think in our resolution, it also gives our fire chief a little bit of room to say, oh, I'm gonna go off the minimum, or I can require those fire sprinklers. I think they have some of that wiggle room as well, so there's a lot of ways you could, write it up, so.
But we need to address that before we do a second reading, obviously.
Well, I recommend we take it as is tonight.
Okay? Is that a motion?
It's a motion, sorry.
Sorry, Rick,
I'll second.
okay. Got a motion and a second. Further discussion, questions of
It's a
these folks?
motion to take it as is, as we may make changes to it before the next.
We still have the option to amend it at the second reading
We do.
on these two issues that
We
we
do.
discussed. Okay.
We've identified the issues tonight.
Right.
We can't bring something in totally strange that we haven't talked about, but we can now with this.
Okay.
Is the way I understand Robert's rules.
So the two issues that we've identified can be amended at the second reading?
Yeah.
Once we have our information. Okay.
Further questions, comments? Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that carries on first reading. It'll be on second reading for the 17th, and we'll have to have a public hearing on that as well.
Yes, and I've advertised the annexation, well, it'll go out tomorrow. The annexation and both of these ordinances will be in the Wilson Post tomorrow
Okay,
to meet the 15-day required timeline.
okay. So we're ready now for the building permit?
Yes, sir.
Order?
And there was a copy of it. The only correction that I know that needs to be made on it is in the second paragraph. I left the taxpayers of Wilson County, Tennessee in there. That needs to change to the city of Watertown. I fixed it in all the other sentences. I've just missed that one. The fee schedules for commercial and residential are the second and third pages. Residential is first. And this is an increased fee from your current 30 cents per square foot for a single family home to 70 cents per square foot. This residential permit fee matches the county's verbatim regarding accessory structures and single-family homes. And then it also covers swimming pools as well. The note at the bottom still says Wilson County. That is just an AFT. If the AFT language ever changes in Wilson County, I'll update your all's building permit fee sheet that you can hang down here, Miss April has. But as of right now, that's a non-negotiable that's required of the county for any residential structure. The third page is your commercial fees. I thought about amending a little bit of this because right now it's the same from the county as verbatim. I don't know if your city of Watertown needs as many steps as the county has. Ours goes all the way up to 400,000 square foot buildings. I don't know where that would be feasible in Watertown. And I can take some of those steps out or just leave them in there, as they may never be used, but you'll have them if the request comes. I mean, that's up to you all at this point. But as of right now, those commercial fees just mimic what we have in the county.
Doesn't really hurt anything to have them in there, does it?
No, it's just extra verbiage,
Yeah.
but no, it's not gonna hurt anything. And then it covers you if somebody does come and wants to build an Amazon distribution center down here.
We will have to have some water pressure, won't we?
And then I have that the same as the building permit fees. These fees are to take effect July 1st of 2025.
Okay. Questions, comments? I strongly recommend this. It's time that we're beginning to see more activity up here. You know, there was a time 15, 20, 25 years ago, what we saw was one lot where a parent wanted to build a home for a child or something. But we're beginning to see development now with developers coming in from out of county, and they pay this in other communities, and I think it's time for them to expect to pay it here as well. And then we have folks that'll watch them and make sure they do these things right, which makes me feel a lot better. We've taken a lot of good steps over the years, and this is a major good step in my opinion. So I'll recommend this to you.
I make the motion that we accept the building permits.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes on first reading.
And if you all get to reading it and there's any typos or anything, more eyes is better, just send Mike or myself an email and I'll be happy to fix that, to clean it up for your second reading. It'll also have the ordinance number references in your second reading as well.
Anything else you guys
I
got?
don't have anything else for you, sir.
We've taken care of Parkinson Pro. All right. Well, we'll move on to other stuff. You're certainly welcome to stay. I can't imagine why you want to leave, but
Thank you all.
don't block the door back there as everybody leaves. All right, appreciate everybody. Appreciate all of you guys. Yeah, I knew. Yeah, clear the aisle. Here they come. See you. All right, let's go back then and pick up on some things. We opened bids on the 20th here of May for the repair and renovation of the water tank here. We had 3 good bids, and when I sent you a letter that day, we were under the impression that G&L Tank Sandblasting and Coatings had received the bid, but when Steve Jones, our engineer, tabulated the bids and went back and added things up, Curran's Construction Services is the low bidder at $275,220. The grant we are getting will pay $181,000 of that. We're going to have to pay about $94,000 of that. Let me give you the background. I'm sure y'all probably remember it, but maybe the folks out that may be watching us. This is an $899,000 total project, not just the water tank, but some other things we're doing. And we are responsible for 25%. We're paying 34% on this one, so on the other 2 things that will come back to you and be bid after this, our portion will be less than 25%. We're still responsible for a total of $200,000. So Steve has indicated, Steve Jones, that this is a good bid. He's satisfied with it. He said they've done good work. And my understanding is that once they submit this to the state, they'll go to work, and this job has to be completed very quickly because we're going to be draining the tank. And there'll be a couple of days there where we all may sleep a little nervously. They'll have a temporary tank there, but of course it won't be as big as the water tank we have. We'll also have access to Wilson County Water, and they have indicated to Steve that should a fire develop, they can provide 220,000 gallons of water. If we don't have a fire and it's needed, they can provide 181,000 gallons of water per day. So once they start that, they are expected to finish it very quickly. So I recommend that to you. We have to accept that bid so that they can go to work.
What was the company's name again?
I'm sorry?
What was the company name again?
Company is Currens, C-U-R-R-E-N-S Construction Services LLC, and they are from Harrodsburg, Kentucky. We had 2 other bids, one from Shelbyville and another one from NE, I guess that's Nebraska. You know, this is specialized work, so, but when we left that day, we thought the Shelbyville company had gotten the bid, but they have not. They're not low, so Currens Construction is. And they were here that day, by the way.
Do you need a motion to approve?
I do.
I'll make a motion to approve for the bid on the water tank renewal.
Yep. Is there a second?
Second.
I guess we should say, add in there, Cal, in the amount of $275,220. Y'all good with it?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we put the name in there so we know which one it
Yep.
was.
Yep.
It's Currens.
Currens Construction. All right, questions, comments? Okay, not all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. A lot of major stuff going on here tonight, folks. We knew was coming, but we're getting there. Let me just update you briefly on our other projects, and then we'll move on to a couple other things. Rye Engineering is still doing our work on identifying our water loss in the community, and we will have a report on that shortly. I forget the date, but it's not too long in the future. The sewer construction project, we are at, I wrote this down somewhere. We have spent $2,787,000, and we have spent 51.1% of the project, so the project's basically about half done. I know that we and people out in the community are ready for it to get done, certainly with the street that's closed down there, but it is moving along. The weather has probably held them up a little bit. The work they've got to do in the creek, it's got to be pretty much close to dry when they get in there, so hadn't been that way for a while, but it'll get that way this summer. We all know that. We talked about the water project, nothing on street paving, of course, till we get all this other done. And our turntable, we're back to having our monthly meetings with the federal government. We had one in May and primarily discussed issues that the engineers and architects were having to deal with. And right now we have another meeting on June the 11th to carry on, proceed on. So that's really all the update I've got on those things right now. Any questions that I could try to answer for anybody? Okay, I try to keep y'all posted as best I can. I probably hadn't done a very good job last couple of weeks, but I'll do better. Laura, you mentioned a while ago from Sarah about the fireworks. The fireworks, the 4th of July fireworks has always been a partnership between the Chamber and the City of Watertown, 50-50. And it went up a little bit this time. What did it go to, April, 5,300 or 5,500? 5,500. With the Chamber only paying 2, that means it'll take 3,500 to have the same show that we've had the last few years. I don't have a problem with us doing that. And subject to the Budget Committee and y'all's actions, I'm gonna include that in $3,500 for next year. I think the people here in this community have gotten to where they expect that. They like it, and you can tell, we have a lot of people that park up and down this highway and park anywhere they can. They come from a lot of places to see it, because they don't wanna go to Nashville and get in that rat race. And we have a pretty good little show. It's not an hour long, it doesn't have music, but if you like big booms and lighting up the sky, we got it. So if y'all are okay with that, I'll put that in the budget, 3,500, and we'll pick up the slack on that. The report on the repairs at the old city hall, just to let you know that you see in there, I think, in the stuff that April sent out, where we paid Gerald Lamberson for all the work. And so that part is complete. We've got to get in there and clean it out. Steve Casey suggested that the other day, and I'm holding back just a little bit. But we got to get that done. It's at least dried in now. They took
There were 4 layers of
four
old roofing.
levels of roofing.
Yeah.
And tore out a lot of the decking, so it was rotten. Okay, what else have I got? Our budget report is in front of you there. It's pretty much what we expect. I've got to bring you a budget amendment in June 17th, and whenever we have our second reading on the budget, to move some money around, and also to move some money into it from the ARP money that we didn't include in the budget. So that will change the numbers significantly. We've done the development regulations. All right, we're down to the main event. Water and sewer rate increase on first reading. We employed a gentleman to do a study of our system, of our utility rates. He did that. We had a work session on that. Mr. Adams came from Blankenship CPA Group. He gave us, as he called them, scenarios. He recommended a divided scenario where a portion of the increase would go to water, a larger portion would go to sewer, because that's where we are having to pay off the debt. He also gave us a combined scenario, but he said it would not be an accurate reflection of how the money is being spent. So and I know you folks around the table know, but for the folks out here, I'll go ahead and go over it again. If we did a combined scenario, revenue would have to increase 75%. If we do a separate scenario, the water portion of the bill would have to go up 35%. The sewer portion would have to go up 130%. Yeah. So it was his recommendation that we do the separate the water and the sewer. It will change the calculations, obviously, on the water bill and how we do it, because right now our sewer bill is just double the water bill. That will change. But the $5.5 million that we had to spend to repair a lot of things in our system has to be paid for, and we've been talking about that now for about 18 months and knew this day was coming. I said something earlier, and I'll share it for what it's worth. I've been dreading this day for a long time. We had to raise rates once back in the 80s, 45%, and we raised some of the rates in 2021, but not a large amount. And then Randy Gwaltney, who's kind of our unofficial historian, found a letter back in 1981 where the city was increasing water and sewer rates by 30%. So at any event, that's just the history of it, but I'm ready for whatever action they'll see fit on the recommendation, but we got to pay our debt, folks.
I'd like to make one comment before we vote. I took the initiative over the weekend and I pulled the Wilson County water rates. And even with this increase, even though it's very significant, as long as you're under the 10,000 gallon mark every month, our water is still cheap. Our fresh water, this is not sewer, but fresh water is still cheaper than what Wilson County is. So yes, it's a significant increase for us because we've been historically low for a long time. But compared to the county, we still come in. The first couple of thousand gallons is about the same, just a few dollars difference. But as you get into the higher gallon amounts, it's actually we're still at a lower rate. If I did my math correctly, which I could be wrong, but
I bet you did.
What's the timeline, like how soon this will go into effect?
Well, we would need to approve it, second reading next month. And then it would go out with what, April, the bill that goes out June 20th, or,
If you want it to be effective in July.
so the bill would be paid in July. And it would be included in next year's budget. We have, I didn't bring those figures, but we have a total debt service payment next year of $350,000 payable. Interest in November, principal and interest in May. So we need to get it going, start of the budget year. And that's down like $3,000 from what we paid this last year. But it varies. It'll always be in the neighborhood of $350,000 to $355,000. It's level, term level finance.
So there'll be a note on the bill saying this is happening?
Well, there can be. I'm gonna put out as much information as I can in advance. I'll probably do my article in the paper entirely on this so that people know. Probably we'll put something on Facebook and we can do whatever, but there's already been some calls and questions asked about it, so it's out there. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question that Tim might raise. In the case of charging these at two different rates, are you going to meter the input and output at the two different rates? We don't have, that I know of, a current method of metering separately the water and the sewer. And assuming that they're the same is incorrect for a lot of how the water is utilized.
Say that last part again. I didn't hear everything, Ms. Dow.
Your water and sewer is assumed now, to my understanding, is to be what you take in, you put out through the sewer.
Mhm.
But you don't. If you're watering your grass, if you're watering,
Right.
filling your fountains or whatever you got, you're not putting it in the sewer. So why am I paying for a sewer amount that I'm not putting in the sewer is going to be the question.
What I've
You
seen
don't
with,
have a way of metering that.
what I've seen with other cities that want to do that, if you have sprinkler systems and things like that, they put in a separate water meter, totally
And that's
separate water meter. and
Partly
that's all.
cost effective.
Right,
Here.
that's how I've seen other places handle it. If they don't want to pay the sewer on it, they put in a separate meter for their irrigation and things like that.
That's for the homeowner.
Mhm.
And that's who's going to be yelling the loudest.
What's the sewer rate gonna be? I mean, right now, it's whatever your water is, it's what your sewer is. So if you separate them, what is the rate of the sewer gonna be?
It'd be 130%.
Of your water bill?
Now, the other way we can do it is just flat 75% across the board.
So whatever your water bill would be, it'd be 130% above that amount. Is that what I'm
Yes, yeah,
understanding?
yes.
I don't think there wouldn't be if I understand this right, it wouldn't be above that amount. It would be if your freshwater portion of the bill is, let me pick a number I can do the math on easy. If the freshwater portion of the bill is $100, your sewer portion of the bill, is it gonna be 130 or 230?
230.
It's gonna be 230. So yeah, it's basically whatever the freshwater meter reads, the sewer charge is gonna be that times 130%.
The other option, the one I didn't mention, or maybe I just did in passing, is if we did across the board and not separate them out, it would be an 82.5% increase.
They would both be the same, but they'd be 82.5% over what they are currently.
Yep. So if the bill was $100, it would be $182.50.
So you said this has to go into effect before the next fiscal year,
Doesn't have to, it needs to, so we build up the money to pay the debt.
when is the start of that?
July 1. The bills will go out June 20th, and people will be paying those first week of July.
The value seems to be the same either way. The end result is the same.
It is.
And it makes it easier on the city on sending bills and everything else that I think that combined together would be the same. Is a better option for easeability.
It'll be easier to calculate
Yes.
if we do the
And I don't
combined
think it'll be
rate.
as confusing for other people because they're gonna look at it and be like, why did I get paid so much for sewer than I did for water? Even though I know it's used for paying the sewer, I think it'll be less confusing in the long run if it's the same. For everyone.
I think it'd be easier to calculate, I think it'd be easier to explain, and easier to understand.
Yeah, because it's the same money, no matter if
But-
it's 20% gain on water and 160% gain on sewer, it'll equal the same money in the
Yeah,
end.
it
Not the
will.
right numbers, but, you know,
It will.
I think it'll be easier on the whole picture if they increase on both sides. Not the same amount.
Let me, I was looking for something here. Okay, here it is. He did projections for us, of course, but he also did historical numbers going back to fiscal year 2020. The state requires us, and before anybody goes out there and thinks it, there are no tax dollars going into this, nor will this go into the general fund. The water and sewer fund is an enterprise fund, that the bottom line is you gotta take in more money than you spend, plus depreciation. In 2020, we came up 4% short. 2021, we came up 1% short. 2022, we came up 6% short. 2023, we actually were 1% to the good, and then last year we were 6% short. Now, this is all before the debt's added in. I wish that was all we had to make up was 6%. But this is all before the debt came in. Again, the work we're doing was required by the state by order. So, what we've got to do is, y'all have heard me talk about being called into the state, well, that's what it amounts to. When we get a negative number, they call and say, what are you gonna do about it? And I've been resisting that for some time, but can't resist it any further with all this debt. So I just said that for historical perspective, it doesn't change bottom lines options, but I'm fine with, fine's not the right word. I'm acceptable to the 82.5% across the board, if that's the way you want to go.
Well, I make a motion, as much as I hate to, it has to be done. And I hope the public knows that this is just the way it is. And I hate it, and I hope they're not mad at us, but I mean, we have to pay our debt. But I make a motion that I think it's option 1, where it is the same. It's the 82.5%, yes, sir.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. If I could make the motion or second, I would, but I do make the recommendation, so you're not out there alone. Discussion, comments, questions?
I do want to make one comment because it hadn't been mentioned. In this study, Bob Adams also gave us a projection if we didn't change anything. Basically, we would be almost $400,000 in the red next year. That's ending in 26. 27, it would happen again, or basically we'd be bankrupt before the end of 28. So this is not something that No, as Laura said, this is something we have to do. And unfortunately, it's been a long time since we've spent any major money on the water and sewer, and the bills come and due for the past 20, 25 years that things have been sort of status quo. But
Sewer's been in the ground since 1962. Water's been in the ground longer than that,
yeah,
these lines, so.
Is it possible for us to waive the late fee for that first month? I just think you have a lot of people in this town that's gonna hurt, because that's pretty quick. I mean, you got a $60 bill right now, jumps up $100 almost.
Well, we're gonna have to do this on 2 readings too. That's something I'd certainly consider before the second reading. Yeah. You wanna go ahead and amend the motion to add that in?
I mean, that's what everybody else wants to.
I'm not opposed to it, but I mean, my concern, okay, if you waive the late fee, or we're gonna give it, I mean, at what point does the late fee kick back in? Because I mean,
I'm just saying, look, I mean, I don't know how many months. I mean, if it's 1 month, 2 months, we just say that.
Right.
And it's known, like when he puts in his letter, hey, I understand this is,
2 paychecks.
quick, you know.
Yeah.
You know, pay, I mean, a single mama, if I had a $300 bill at one point. If I could do 150 in one paycheck and 150 another paycheck, sure does help a lot more than a $300 at once.
All right, I'm fine with what Caleb is proposing for a month. Now, let me tell you all the practicalities of it. About half the property in this city is rental property.
exactly.
And we get a call frequently from somebody saying, I need a few more days on my water bill. And we used to give them a few more days, and we find out they moved out over the weekend. And we get hung with it. So I'm okay with waiving the late fee because that means they gotta pay their bill. But I'm not for setting up installments. And then the property owner says, well, wait a minute, you didn't make your deal with me, you made it with my renter. But we've lost some money over the years. We've lost $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a year, enough probably to make up the difference between 1% being good to people. And I want to be good to them,
So we'll just waive
but I want them to be good to me too. I don't want them to beat me.
Well,
Just want to waive the late fee for 2 months now.
I'd say 1 month. I'd say you better.
I just, 1 month's fine. I just think
Okay.
Yeah.
you say
Just
this,
the late
it's not
fee.
in place
Anything
until,
else?
Just the
Yeah, just the late fee.
And so you don't know, I believe it's just, and I can't quote the theory, y'all probably can, but the more you raise stuff, sometimes the less people use. So we may lose some volume there and lose some money that way, for at least for a little
Yeah.
while. So
I
I don't want to tinker with it too much.
Yeah. People will become conscious of their usage when this kicks in.
Yeah.
And Caleb, I'm not opposed to what you were saying, but I'm in agreement with Mike. We got to be careful because something like that will be abused by a certain portion of society out there.
Yep.
I mean,
You
I don't
know,
disagree.
so
I'm just saying, we're not voting it in, and then the next month,
Right.
oh, here it is. And whether you put it in the newspaper or not, there's still gonna be plenty of people who don't read it, don't see it, and they're gonna look at their water bill and they're gonna call them and say, why is my water bill $100 more? And
Yeah.
it's gonna be like, oh, that's what it is now. Like, good luck, So I just think most people it's probably fine, but there are, I think, a lot of lower income people here that it's gonna hurt. So just give them a little bit of a leeway.
I'm going to bring that up on the second reading, and I'll be willing to entertain that for a month. I probably would disagree with you a little bit, Caleb, on the fact people not going to know about it. Bob Morgan's already telling me they cussed him at the restaurant, so I got a feeling like people know about it.
I'm just saying, I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I'm the minority. I don't
No,
I don't sit around at the old man table and chit chat.
You've been a nice guy.
So I mean,
appreciate that.
I'm going, I guess, from my demographic, so.
Yeah, you've been a very nice guy and representative. All right, back to the original motion. We got a motion on the table to do the combined rate of 82.5% on first reading. You ready to vote?
Yep.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, I appreciate that being unanimous.
Can I ask one question? We're talking about the notification. And April may know the answer to this. What does it cost us in a month to mail our, I guess my question is, should we consider sending a letter out to all of our water bill people, everybody that's on the water bill list, to give a notification and have the new rate schedule published in there? It would cost us the paper and the postage.
Just an explanation of fees changed.
I don't know how much that would cost, or if we would,
I don't know either, I'm not opposed to doing that, but you want to do it after we adopt it on the second reading?
well, that may be something we need to research between now and then and see,
I would think we would send it out with the first water bill and an explanation
Yeah.
of what's
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
you can send it at the same time. So maybe the water bill gets put in an envelope with the letter the first time, and we only pay him postage one time. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. We can look into that. But we can do that. I say, look, I'm just thinking about something else. I made a comment a while ago about rental property, and I don't mean to, maybe that was a bit too forward. But I sign checks once a week unless there's some type of emergency. And there's rarely a week goes by that that April hadn't gotten notice from somebody that they want their deposit refunded, usually 3 or 4 a week. So when you multiply that, that's anywhere from 15 to 20 a week, a month. We've gotten to where we're very stringent about making people pay. And that's been uncomfortable sometimes when we've had to tell somebody we know, and we know they're good people, but we can't make exceptions. So it's tough. And she gets faced with it, as I told her just before we came in here, we're gonna hear about it, but she'll hear about it first, because they're gonna call her. And she'll probably listen to some people that maybe she shouldn't have to.
But raising the deposits has helped.
Right, yeah. Main thing is we get enough money to pay the debt. Because, and I hadn't mentioned this, but I think I'm correct on this. If we were to go into major default, like what you were talking about, $350,000, $400,000, the state would replace the mayor and council. And there may be people out there now jumping up and down their living room and say, great. But somebody's got to do the job. And whoever sits in the seat still got to raise the money. So, it's got to be done. So anyway, we voted on that, didn't we? I hope.
We voted on it.
I voted aye, okay. And we all did. All right, well, I got one other thing to ask you about that. We, meet on that one, we meet again June 17th. You want it to come up that night? Just do it. You don't want to have a special meeting before that or anything?
Should we? I don't think so.
I don't think, we just have a lot to do that night too, with all the annexation and building permits and everything. Okay, now, let me go through some informational items. I already talked about, next meeting being June 17th at 6 o'clock. We, we'll have to set another meeting later in the month to do our second reading on the budget. Anticipate having the budget ready to go on the 17th, get it out to you a few days ahead of time. But we can talk about that meeting on the 17th of when we want to do it. Community League finished up Saturday, I'm told. We had a good year, it seems to me. I didn't get over here as much as I like to, but let me say this, I didn't get a single complaint on it.
No,
And that's
it's
good.
a lot better.
Yeah.
The umpires, the coaches, the parents. You know, last year I fussed a few times up here about the behavior over there. It was a pleasure to watch this year.
Well, I think the people doing it had a lot to do with that. Police department have a lot to do with it, just the presence. And I think it went well. And if it didn't, I hadn't heard about it. And used to be a director of schools here. You remember Dr. Duncan?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Duncan used to tell me, he said, you know, if you don't get to my desk, it ain't a problem. We have a holiday this month, a relatively new holiday on June 19th, which is Juneteenth. It's on Thursday. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. The city will be closed that day. And that is really all I have, and that's enough. We'll go down the table. Oh, I want one other thing. You asked a couple of meetings ago, and I want to make sure I tell you this, if I can find it. Y'all bear with me just a minute. I had all this set up, and then I jumped out of order here. You asked about the sirens.
Yes, and we must.
Yeah, and Marty Heckman told me, somebody said we ought to put one at the high school. He came back to me, apparently he was watching us that night, and says you have tornado warning sirens located at Watertown Middle School and Watertown High School at the end of the football field. Both are showing active and working properly before, during, and after the event. As you probably know, I cannot make them any louder. So, you asked about that, and I forgot to tell you that last
And they
time.
did say that once it goes off from Wilson County to Wilson County, period.
Yeah,
And those straight line winds, we were not under a warning for tornadoes, so that's why it did not go off at that time too.
that's correct.
Where we had the most damage, we were just under a wind advisory, not anything that required local sirens.
Yep. All right, Ms. April, you got anything?
Nothing, sir.
Mr. Caleb? Mr. Kyle?
When our water restoration's being done, it's gonna be really close to July 4th. And our tank's getting refurbished. It's gonna be really close to July
Yeah.
4th. Should we make something kind of aware? I don't wanna stop anyone from shooting fireworks, but
We
fire
will,
is gonna be bad.
we will, and probably in conjunction with the chief, Blake.
Yeah. I don't know if we can get any extra water here, just for then, or that period to make, just in case, just because, we all like shooting fireworks.
Good idea.
Me included, I just, you know,
Good idea.
if it's dry, it hasn't been lately, but if it is dry, it's gonna be,
Probably will be by then.
yeah.
And don't hold me to this, but I think Steve Jones told me that once they start this project, they will complete it by July 31st. So,
All right,
what else you got, buddy?
that's it.
Miss Laura?
Thanks.
All right.
Uh,
Surely not.
Just I know. The Miss Sarah just texted me and said that the next paper runs June the 4th, and that she'll be happy to put it on the front page about the water. Your statement, if you want to include that,
I'll
give
go
it
ahead
to
and do
her
that.
Friday before June 4th.
That is, the
This
paper
coming
goes out
Friday.
on the 4th.
That would be
Oh,
this coming
okay.
Friday.
Well,
You'd have to
then
have it to her by this
she's
coming
the-
Friday.
Then she would need it
No,
like
this
tomorrow
Friday's
night.
the 30th.
Right, but that's the last Friday before June 4th.
She likes to have it like a Friday before, but she'll do like 2 days before, but you know.
I can take a in.
Yes. I got a message from someone that just said, let me pull it up. Because, I guess it's Commerce Street shut down. And then Monday is fine. She just texted me and said Monday's fine.
Monday is fine.
Monday's fine. Will you put that in his
Shannon
notes,
usually
please?
tells me 9 o'clock on such and such a day, and I usually get a couple extra hours.
So the movie shoot that took place on the square Commerce is down, and then we shut down Elm Street. They were asking, do we know when the people are coming to make these film shoots? When the square's gonna be closed, can we let the public know, or is it just shut down?
It was, the alley was all that was shut down. The alley was all that was shut down behind the hardware. I went to the businesses and told them it was on Sunday where it was, and they didn't shut down the square.
Okay, well, they said it was blocked off, 2 police vehicles were blocking off Elm at the square.
I only had one officer assigned to it, and they had maybe an officer during the day that,
Okay.
none of the square was supposed to be blocked off at all. And, you know, they paid their money to do it.
And that
It's
was
kind of they wanted to come and ask you, but it was before the meeting today.
I thought when we had talked before, we kind of had an agreement with this one company. Sometimes it's the singer or whoever wants to just show up and we don't have a 24-hour notice. And we kind of had an agreement of, yes, we'll take care of this because they do compensate us.
Yes,
correct?
they do.
Okay, before I responded back, I wanted
They do
to know that
compensate.
correctly.
They pay $500?
Yes, sir. And we were actually, you know, it's been probably 2 years, we were going to discuss that, and, you know, we can at some point, about the, you know, we also make them do, additional insurance on the insurance. So, you know, I get it all, I'm the one
Yeah,
that does
yeah.
it, so that way there's, then I send it, you know, again, if we say it's 1,000, then that's what it is, and then that's straight to the city, additional insured. Now, the only reason it happened so quick, and it was an alleyway on Sunday, that's really the only reason that we weren't able to say, hey, we'll wait for this, but it was a shoot from Belmont, and I can't really, I won't reveal the
Yeah.
rest of it, but it's something big, it's gonna have, you know, have plenty of notice, and it's like a short film,
Yeah.
till they get into what they're fixing to do.
The money that we get from that, we put into the park fund unless y'all want to do something different. No tax dollars go into our park fund. We run our leagues off user fees and sponsorship fees, but we do have some expenses here in the park, and so we use that to help offset that. And which reminds me, I should have told you, Mr. Morgan has hit me a few weeks ago, days ago. He found a deal on a zero-turn mower, and we bought it for $5,000 out of the park money. So, but he was tickled to death.
Good.
Yeah, good.
So, now I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. So I'll answer.
You'll have to humor me. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't.
I'll answer him back. I've already done that. And then my last thing is, if y'all have not tried new Randolph's, y'all need to. I've gone twice in the 4 days it's been open, and it is wonderful. So, I think I saw the two, both
I
of
will
y'all there
second
that
that,
same night.
because we've been twice since Friday.
Delicious.
You don't have all this time to eat.
I don't
How do you get jobs like that?
That's probably why I don't have a man.
Well, I wasn't out of town all weekend watching baseball either, so.
That's true. I got tired of ballpark food, I can tell you that. Anything else, Laura? All kidding aside. Stephen?
I don't have anything, other than the fact that we need to reconsider that $500 filming fee in the budget starting next year.
Yeah.
I think that needs to go up.
It does need to go up. They're paying more than that in a lot of places, in my opinion. Okay.
Motion.
You ready? I got a motion to adjourn. Second, let's go home. Thank you, everybody, for coming.